Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to listen to the remarkable journey of a woman whose resilience and unwavering spirit has touched countless lives. She's not just a chief operating officer. She's a child. She's a mother, a sister, an aunt. She's a colleague, and most importantly, a child of God. Her story transcends titles. It's about courage, compassion, and unwavering faith. Welcome, Margaret. We are honored to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So let's dive into this conversation and share wisdom, hope, and encouragement. So tell me about your journey from humble beginnings to where you are today.
Wow. The introduction was very touching. Thank you. I came from a very big family of 9, and I'm being the 4th. So in terms of humble, we were not poor, but we were not rich. So we were just comfortable enough, but didn't have everything. I went to a fairly good school. My dad was trying all that he can to make sure that we get a good education. I think I gave him the most headaches in the family, if I can say. But God has been good to me as an individual. I always find courage in Romans 5 verse 20, which says, where sin abounds, grace much abounds. So for me, because I've been the biggest headache in the family, so I feel like I've received a lot of grace as well at the hands of God. So yeah, taking from there and the family being big, I wanted to be a dentist at first. I'm now in accounting operations, which wasn't first choice. But when my dad retired, he had been trying at best to send us to fairly good school. But that meant that when he retired, there were no savings. Yeah, when I couldn't get into medical school, dentistry, I found a place at Medical University of South Africa at the time. I don't even know if it's still there. I got a bit depressed. I was sent to Mashingo to live with my aunt before she passed away. And then from there, I got into Mashingo Polytech. I started doing a diploma in accounting, then higher national diploma in accounting. And then I married very young as well. I always felt that it was my duty to look after my brothers. And I took on 2 teenagers very early on in my life, if I can say, because after doing my HND, I couldn't do my bachelor's degree there and then. I decided to take a job to try and help my brothers through school. So my journey began there. I took a small job. At first, I was working at a supermarket in Mashingo called Sungai Supermarket. And then actually the doors opened in 2002 when I got a job with K International. And that's when I got into this world of NGOs, which I am in now, 20 or so years after.
Okay.
But that's where it all started. There've been a lot of ups and downs in between. I guess I found encouragement knowing that God is always on my side. I think Psalm 37 verse 25, which says, I've been young and now I'm old, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken.
Amen.
So, through all the ups and downs that I've had, there've been many downs, there've been many ups as well. I think there are some people who are going to listen to this who know more about my life than I do. Who will be thinking that, yeah, she has done A, B, C, D, E, and all. They've been ups and downs, but we are where we are now. God has been good. I took a job in DRC in 2014. I have been a single mom for some time now. And 2014, it was a decision to say, okay, I need to get the experience in expert work. The job wasn't fantastic. Even the salary wasn't fantastic. I didn't negotiate properly because it was my first job. At the same time, you're thinking, okay, I should take the job to make me advance. So it was a good opportunity in that sense. I've moved through the ranks. I joined here as an administrative officer in 2014. I've moved ranks. I became administrative manager, and then I became a manager for finance and operations, and then director for finance and administration, director of finance and operations. And currently, since beginning of this year, I'm now chief operating officer. So in brief, that is my journey.
Wow, you did move up quite significantly. So during your professional growth, did mentorship or support networks play any role in your journey?
Networks do play a role. I think I've met people as I've moved between different organizations that have helped to shape me to the person I am today. Networks will probably give you an edge or put your foot in the door. But like I always say to people, that networks can only do something, but at the end of the day, it's you who has to do the work. You know, it's like a degree. What I always say, it helps you put a foot in the door. There will be networks. I think working with different organizations, and I think everybody's been moving up. I think my last two jobs have been more of headhunting than me applying for jobs. So within those networks, you find that somebody recognizes that you do something, you have done something before. But then at the end of the day, you also have to put in the work, because if you don't do the work, even if you've got a big network, everybody within that network will know that you don't perform. So it does help you to open the door, but you have to put in the work so that even within your network, people realize that you are there and you make, you contribute something to that network. Mentorship, like I said, I didn't have a formal mentor-mentee relationship. There have been people who have been instrumental in helping me shape my career, but not formally. So there have been mentors in my life. I call them that. Maybe they don't even know that they were mentoring me. But and I try as best as possible to look for young people who show a potential, to help them, guide them through things. We might not have a mentor-mentee relationship or formal, but try to help them navigate through this, I always say, maze of working, and so yeah, I hope I can contribute something, or have been.
I'm sure you are. So did education also play a role in your professional growth?
Education has helped to open some doors, I think, but the greater part has been within the networks people I've worked with. I will give you an example. When I got my first expert job here in DRC, I was still, okay, maybe I should go back a bit. After finishing my HND, I didn't manage to get a bachelor's degree. So because then money was tight, I had to put my brothers through school. So when they started university is when I decided, okay, let me go back and finish my bachelor's degree. But when I went back, they said, oh, you have to restart everything.
Oh my God.
So I had to restart, like I'd never gone to school. And I was already 30 something. You can imagine going back to school, retaking your bachelor's. I was a bit frustrated, but then at the end of the day, I just decided I'll do it. So why I'm saying that networks help, degrees. Yes, I showed on my CV that I was studying towards my bachelor. I hadn't finished my bachelor, but then someone within the network of USAID that I'd worked with before said, recommended me to the person who was recruiting in DRC, and they took me up even before I had finished my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So I was then going up and down trying to finish it off, which I did when I was young. And then after that, I immediately started my master's with Heriot Watt University in Edinburgh. Again, it was a challenge. Has open doors. There's no position that I can correlate directly with that additional qualification, but I think it has opened doors as well. The other thing which scares people when I talk about, I'm a certified fraud examiner. So I also wanted to do that a lot. And in 2017, I managed to get the certification. And when you say that to people, they think, oh, okay, she's here to investigate us. No, but I always say, yeah, I'm more on the preventive side of fraud more than the investigative, because, most people like to investigate, but I always say it starts with the prevention and the detection of fraud. And so education does help. I have done a lot of things, but at the same time, like I say, it only opens the door. you put your foot in the door, and then afterwards, you really have to put in the work.
Very interesting. How do your personal values and purpose guide your decisions as a finance professional?
Wow, I grew up in an Adventist religious family. So there are things that I don't do because I've never done them. It's just not been, this is just not been me. So, I'm not saying I'm perfect. My work ethic is okay because I've done something special, but it has been ingrained in me while I was growing up. There's certain things that you just don't do, which are not acceptable. And then, being a fraud examiner, I really liked being a fraud examiner, but it also means that now I have to uphold certain professional ethics which comes with the job. So that has helped as well. I think I'm a vivacious person. Maybe others can say no, probably not. I had a flair for numbers while I was growing up. I enjoyed numbers. The person that I was, I guess it all comes together at the end of the day to say, okay, yeah, this is where you were going. So where I am now has been a culmination of different things. Let me give you an example. Like when I got my first job, firstly, they wanted a commodity accountant. I had an accounting background, H&D in accounting. So I took it, but at the end of the day, they started increasing to say, okay, take up some logistics work. I didn't enjoy it and I didn't understand why I had to do it. I wasn't happy about it, but now looking back, it was an exposure which I am now using because it's very difficult. I think most people who will listen to this, they would say, okay, when you have a bachelor in accounting, to find an accountant who has operations or logistics experience, those are two different boats. You're sailing in two different boats. But it was thrown at me in a way which I didn't understand at the time. But now I understand because I am having to use all those things put together in the work that I'm doing now. So yeah, it has shaped my character as a person, all that. And also being a single mom has helped me. There've been, like I say, there've been times where things have really been down. I call them my Joseph moments, my Joseph from the Bible moments, because I always feel like, okay, I can be somebody from the time I was very young. But when troubles come, you start asking yourself, am I really going to achieve all those things? But then again, I go back to the Bible and I say, okay, Joseph had all these dreams that he was going to be, on top, but he had to go through Potiphar's wife. He had to be sold as a slave. He had to go through all those things. So it encourages me to say, okay, yeah, it's happening. I'm just going through a Joseph moment. So that's how I tell myself, and then life goes on. So that has helped me as well as I became a more resilient person and created a character, because the Bible has been something that we've had growing up, different levels. I think now I've discovered certain things by myself with what I've gone through. But all that has shaped me to the person that I am today.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the Joseph moment. He had to go through all those things to prepare him for what was to come. So we go through these things in life without realizing that we have to go through them. If we decide not to go through them, we might not get to where God wants us to be.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. So what strategies did you use to stay motivated and maintain productivity during tough times?
I can't say I have a strategy per se, but the first thing is that the Bible has been a center of my life growing up, and it has really been impactful in most of the decisions and most I've made. So that has been the first thing. And the second thing has been the kids. My kids, I'm a single parent. So with 4 kids, most of the time you tell yourself, I can't break down. I have to remain strong. So because my kids still depend on me. And the family at large, my siblings and my parents, I've put my parents through the most difficult times. I've been the most challenging child, I think. So I feel like I also need to do a lot more for them because they have invested a lot in me over time. I think their support, they were always there for me. So I feel this additional urge that I have to put in a bit more as well. So, and then there's my team of all the organizations I've worked for. Being in a leadership position, it means that you've got team members that are looking up to you, and people that you don't even know, like their families, also are looking up to you, that you make the right decisions that will impact them, even if they are not direct reports to you. So you have that additional burden that you always have to think about. That are all these people relying on me, which I have to think about when I'm making my decision.
Wow, that sounds like a lot on your shoulders. Can you share a moment when you turned setback into a stepping stone?
Wow. I've had so many setbacks, I don't even know which one. Firstly, being single just brings a certain strength out of you that you didn't know you had, you know. So it's a setback, yes, but at the same time, it kind of like catapults you to the next level. And because of that, I have been a person that have felt like I need to push myself more. And another setback, again, linked to being single, which others can say it's a setback, others can look at it as an opportunity. I don't know. But it also meant when I made a decision to move to DRC, for example, it was easier for me to move. I could quickly make a decision, and it was just based on me. I don't think if I had a husband, he would have accepted that I come to work in jealousy. But, it's a setback in one way, but at the same time, it's really helped me as well I can now make quick decisions. If I want something done, I can quickly make that decision and do it. And yeah, I'm not saying all respect to my brothers out there. You don't block things, but at the same time, I don't have consultations between two people. It has to be a decision that two people have to agree on. It's depending on me, and I think if the kids will benefit from it, then it's a go. So
in other words, your decisions are quicker
I
than for a lot of people.
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good one. So what advice would you give for somebody who is probably feeling like giving up? They have probably been trying to do something and it's just not working, or sometimes when you just get in this, I call it a funk, you don't know how to come out of it. What advice can you give to somebody in that situation?
I can give myself an example to say, I think, find your faith. That always helps when you find your faith. I know that when I read Hebrews 12, verse 3-7, it says, God allows a season of chastening. I've just paraphrased that. So God allows a season of chastening. So when you're going through things, and if you've got faith, when that chastening does happen, you can understand, God allows certain things to happen. Also, like, why I insist on the Bible, you come through terms, you read through other people's experiences in the Bible, and then 1 Corinthians 10, verse 18, I'll paraphrase, it basically says trials are not common. There's nothing new that you're going through. Others have gone through it. So, so while you're going through your difficult time, you might feel like you're alone. But, when you read other stories of people who've gone through things in the Bible, and then, the Bible says that everything written is for our learning. You can actually learn from those experiences. I find that, when I look in the Bible at Joseph, I always say I have Joseph moments. When things are not going very well in life, I call them Joseph moments, because as much as Joseph had all these nice dreams, everyone bowing to him, it took a long time for him to get to that. So while he went through various challenges before getting to that, we all go through challenges. Let's go back to the Bible. You will get what you need from there. It will be helpful if you stick to the Bible.
That is very powerful. Yes, things don't happen overnight. We have to persevere, we have to be patient, and sometimes we have to go through things that we actually don't like to go through, but God will be preparing us for what He has in store for us. So, Margaret, as a woman going up the corporate ladder, what challenges have you faced? Or maybe I can say, I don't know if a woman of color would apply here, being in Africa, or just being a woman, a girl child. Have you faced any challenges in terms of your professional growth?
I think in terms of professional growth, the biggest challenge that as women we face is if you have to take up a job, you have to displace you or you have to relocate to. And I think that, you have to think about the family and is it a good move? Is it not a good move? I think all women who have got families across the world will be going through this problem, trying to think about, what's best. And you'd find that most married women will probably then not move because of that. Because as men can move easily, you'd find that like in my sector now, there are more male, the men who are married would be here, but you don't find a lot of married women. You'd find a lot of single women. So again, that would mean that in terms of women taking up these posts, it's very difficult because as women, then you'd find that the men are moving with their families, the women are tagging along, and they then have to find a job where the husband is relocated to. So will then the husband be prepared to relocate and then look for a job if the woman is relocated? So it's a big challenge that as women we go through, and it's a reality of life. Most people then don't move because of that. I've not had challenges moving up as a woman. I think we are in a season now where most organizations are looking at, whether it's trying to fill a quota of certain women in executive positions. So it means that there's a willingness to put women in those positions. So if there are women out there who can put in the work and they've got the qualifications, I think we're at a good time now than ever to actually take up these positions. But I find that the biggest challenge has been, with a family and trying to relocate. That has been a big challenge. Color, I think in general, it's yeah, so organizations are trying to have this diversity and inclusion policies in most of the organizations. So they're trying to match and not have all these segregation, discriminatory environment. So in the organizations I've worked for, all the international NGOs, they're trying to have those policies in place, which is really helpful.
Oh, okay, that's good. Very good. So, Margaret, as you were going up in your profession or even in life in general, did you have any people that you looked up to, like probably role models or people that just inspired you? And why these people?
There are a lot of people that I've looked up to coming up. I guess everybody will say, yeah, Mrs. Obama, this and that. Yes, they've got stories to tell. But coming closer to home for me, as I was growing up, I remember when I was in school and I had my cousins and we used to mingle. Sorry, I'm not going to give out names. I didn't ask for their permission to cite them in this interview. Maybe I should next time. But yeah, one of my cousins at one point, she was an executive for an oil company in Zimbabwe. And as a woman then in that position, that was really inspiring for me because, there were all these men who were running around, trying to get this and that. And she handled it very well. And I was looking at her, how she was handling that position. Again, my cousin, who was a partner at one of the big four audit firms, and for her, what made it even more closer to home for me was she was also a single parent, and yet she was doing well for herself, ended up working for a diamond company. And there was a time when things were not well for her. She was going through a rough patch and she had a sick child as well, but things were not okay for her, but she bounced back And she has been a real inspiration for me, even when I've been going through things. And with her kids, she has done amazingly well. And when I look at her, I always think I can do that. No matter if I'm going through any situation, I think she has done it. So we can all do it. They don't know that they have been mentoring me or motivating me in any way, but yeah, their life stories have been inspirational.
Wow. Yeah. Sometimes we look for people that are not within our reach. A lot of times we look at the Jeff Bezos, the people we can't even relate to. And yet, if you look closer to home, we have these people that can actually be our role models, people you can relate to, and you can actually see yourself in them. So thank you, Margaret, for bringing that up. That is very important. So Margaret, before we close, what are the closing remarks, you have for our viewers today?
I don't know if I have any clever thing to say, but what I can just say to my fellow sisters, I'll start with my sisters out there, other female colleagues, is that whatever you put your mind to something, you can do it. Don't look at your age, don't look at where you're coming from or where you have been, but where you are now and what you want to do, you can do it. Put your mind to something, find your faith. And when you get a position, put your heart into it. I know there's some women that have worked in some positions that I have seen. And when you don't do a good job, everybody thinks you are there because you know someone or you're in a relationship with someone. So, that kind of like mars our good efforts that we're doing in the world as women and all, the good work and the hard work that you're putting in to get your positions. I think there's some people out there who are just putting mud on that. So, yeah, when you get something, put your heart to it and work hard. Do the work. And then to my fellow brothers out there, it's not every woman that is looking for a relationship. So I will say this, I've seen a lot, when you're trying, when now it doesn't happen, I think there are more men who are intimidated, if I can say, than would come. But when I was going up the ladder, it's like, when you're trying to talk to a fellow colleague, and you are talking professionally, you're thinking, putting out your vision out there, but they are looking at it as a potential dating relationship, which is not always the case. So to my fellow brothers, take us seriously. I see that in the end, there are more men who then are looking in relationships with girls and young women also to get positions. But yeah, for men to take us seriously, let's be serious about ourselves as women also in this position. So yeah, that's just my advice. The last thing is, if you can learn an additional language, please do. English is very good. I am from an Anglophone country, but French has opened doors for me. When I came here in DRC at first, it was through the networks. Someone recommended me, but I was stuck here for a couple of months where I was not finding my way and probably not as productive as I would want to be because I didn't know the French language. But since I'm not 100% perfect in French now, but I've got enough French to get me around. At least I won't get lost. I can order a meal. I can hold myself in a meeting. But yeah, if you can learn a language, please do. It opens doors. English is good, but yeah, if you can have another language, please learn a language. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your resilience and your unwavering spirit have touched our hearts. As we wrap up, let's remember that no matter where you are in life, there's always hope, growth, and gratitude. For our viewers, take these words to heart. Your past doesn't define you, it refines you. Embrace new beginnings, lift each other up, and let kindness be your legacy. And to you, Margaret, with the greatest appreciation, thank you for being a beacon of inspiration. May your story continue to light the way for others. Stay tuned for part 2 of our interview, where we'll delve into the most trying time of Margaret's time, how she copes, balances work and personal challenges, and emerges stronger than ever. Until then, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep making a difference. God bless.
Thank you.